The eye-opening exhibit where you don't see anything but discover a lot by challenging yourself in new and exciting ways.
Yes, Suchitha and I got to experience Dialogue in the Dark firsthand, and it's celebrating its 20th anniversary with a grand opening right here in Atlanta. We're joined now by the creator of this awareness-raising project and by one of the guides. We have Andreas Heinecke with us and Daniela Dimitrova. Daniela, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
Thank you both
what a
so much
pleasure
for
to have
being
you
here.
both here.
Thank you.
This was a mind-blowing experience for both of us. Andreas, let's begin with you. First of all, where did this creation come from? It's 20 years old.
Right.
It's all over Europe, Asia, and South America.
Over 5 million people have experienced it.
In that days, yeah. Well, I think it starts with the encounter with a blind guy I met by coincidence, and I was completely amazed about his potentials and his way, I think, to stay alive and to have fun. And before I had never ever a chance to meet a blind guy, and then when I met him, I was so surprised and so amazed by his capacity. It was really changing my mind completely.
Yeah, Daniela, you were our guide yesterday on this tour. I mean, you took us through just 1 hour in the life of someone who's visually impaired. Are you surprised by the reactions? Because I know they have to be very different. Suchitha and I had, very different but very similar reactions.
You were excellent visitors because you were interested and motivated to go through all spaces that we have in the exhibition. So the most important is really to come back to our natural other 4 senses in the dark, and then enjoy life the way it is without being able to see, but to concentrate on what we can.
Yeah, you shared a very, very interesting fact with us, and one that I think we hadn't really thought about before, and that is that 90% of the way we experience the world is through our eyesight, and only 10% is by our other 4 senses. And so I guess we take it for granted how much we rely on our eyesight. And when you have that sort of taken away from you, it can be a little disorienting at first. And for folks, I'm not going to give too much, I don't want to give too much away about the exhibit itself and the experience, because you have to go there firsthand. But one thing that happens is as the lights begin to dim, I mean, it gets pitch black in there to the point where you can't see your hand in front of your face. And I think for both of us, we were at first very hesitant to get on board, but we owe it to you for bringing us into the experience and making us enjoy it so much. So thank you, Daniela. Yeah. Tell me about how you've traveled around the world, and you say that this experience is an equalizer. What do you mean by that?
Okay, I mean that everywhere in the world I have been with Dialogue in the Dark and Dr. Heinecke, actually, for the guides, for the visually impaired people, because we are usually training and having local visually impaired people as guides, for them it's an amazing empowerment experience. After you have worked for Dialogue in the Dark, you change. You change the way you function. Okay, and for the visitors, it's an equalizer. No matter your background, whether you have a high education, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, in the dark, everybody becomes the same.
Yeah, and this opens, of course, I think, an open encounter, because in the dark there are no prejudices, and it's completely independent if you are green, black, or yellow, or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
If you are good looking, whatever it means, you have really a chance to meet people in a complete different circumstance. And out of the outer pressure, being in the dark, of course, you immediately start communicating, because without talking, you are lost.
Yeah.
You are not existing.
And Daniela mentioned the empowerment issue here for the visually impaired. This is a tremendous opportunity for the visually impaired, because you have so many venues that they're allowed to work in, but this really changes their quality of life, doesn't it?
Well, I think this is, of course, our target. I think we have 2 missions. One is to employ as much disabled people on a global scale as possible. This is one. Actually, we employed 6,000 blind people in 23 countries.
Wow.
And secondly, I think we want to change the mindset towards otherness. It means there are so many, let's say, hurdles in the interaction between, let's say, so-called abled and so-called disabled. And out of this experience, out of being in the same situation, or let's say in a reversal role, suddenly I think you have a complete new understanding and changing your perspective.
Yeah, that role reversal is really fascinating.
That's how it works.
And we saw just how able Daniela is. I mean, good grief. I was looking for
We couldn't have made it without you, Daniela.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. What an incredible experience.
Yeah, it really is. Thanks again. Well, Dialogue in the Dark is a totally unique experience. For more information, log on to myfoxatlanta.com. The Good Day guest info is listed under the Scene on TV section.